Boys and girls, get loose, grab your juice. It's Casual Samuel. Let's talk hoops. And today, I'm channeling my inner Tony Romo pre-snap in the booth, trying to predict the Eastern Conference. I think as a whole, the Eastern Conference is going to be much easier to predict than the Western Conference. The Western Conference is going to be a dogfight. I don't know. The Western Conference is going to be whoever's the healthiest. I mean, we'll have that video next week. Right now, though, just Eastern Conference, kind of same format as last week. Starting alphabetical, go down from there. How I'm ranking these, 1 to 10 seed, I'll have solidified spots for. Anything below that, I'm pretty much calling a Cooper flag sweepstakes.
Yeah, boy.
Right? I mean, everyone next year is trying to catch the flag. I know that's kind of been thrown around here and there. Everyone's trying to get Coop. I think there's already misdirection as to different NBA executives saying, oh, well, there's more competition there. There's not. It's pretty much I have 1 to 10 locked in, and then Cooper Flag is the man that everyone will be targeting next year in the draft. Starting out with the Atlanta Hawks, getting right into it though. 36-46 last year. They were the 10th seed last year. Projection for their starting five, we're looking at Trey, Hunter, number 1 pick overall, Zachary Risachet, Jalen, and Clint Capella. Jalen Johnson, I think, will have a good season. I think we touched on that in the last video. I expect another Trae Young 25-10 season as well, probably in the books. Hopefully DeAndre Hunter kind of get things rolling. I know people have been kind of waiting on him to take a really big jump. Don't know if that's really happened yet, though. Last year, 12th best offensive rating, 4th worst defensive rating. Defense was pretty stinky in Atlanta. Don't know if Cueva was really eating up that defense courtside because it was pretty dog water. I think the play-in suffering ends this year, Hawks fans. As a Clippers fan myself, I did catch a decent amount of Hawks games last year. But I think the suffering ends because every year, it feels like year in and year out, the past 4 or 5 years, outside of obviously that 2021 year, Eastern Conference Finals against Milwaukee, it has been play-in hell. I mean, if there's peanut butter and jelly, it's Atlanta Hawks and play-in. Atlanta Hawks love them some 7, 8, 9 seed seeding. Where I see them next year, you drop DeJounte Murray. Direction of this franchise it's actually pretty interesting because you just land on the number 1 pick. Again, 2.5 years into the Quinn Snyder era. I don't know. It's a weird hard team to predict. With that, though, I have them not really taking that much of a jump. I also don't think they're going to be bottom tier where they're, trying at least for the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. So I have them going 38-44, a 2-win jump, and I have them as the 9th seed. I don't think they're creating a lot of noise. I think if they do make playoffs, they're more than likely probably going against either a Boston or other teams that we'll get to in a little bit. But they're not going to make noise, I think, in the regular season or the playoffs. If they do make playoffs, it's going to be where they get either swept or it's a gentleman's sweep. Moving up next, to the team we were just touching on, who maybe the Atlanta Hawks will face, the Boston Celtics. They went 64-18 last year, number 1 seed. We all knew that. Same pretty much starting five: Drew, Derek, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and then I have here Big Al until Porzingis gets back. They're not going to rush Porzingis one bit, and I don't blame them. Why would you? Because he's been a little injury prone. Save him until post-trade deadline. He'll probably come before that, but what's the rush? What's the rush for Boston or any of their front office to rush him back, right? Their stats last year, gross. I'm sure you already know that, but we'll touch on a few quick. Number 1 offensive rating, number 2 defensive rating, and they were number 1 in threes attempted and made. If you even watch NBA basketball slightly, you know this team chucks. I think they had, 42 threes a game last season. I mean, even in their preseason game that just happened on Friday against Denver, they were at when I tuned in, because I forgot the game was going on, they already had 63s shot in the game. Ridiculous. I think Joe Mazzulla Ball's keeping that up this year as well. I have here in the next notes, clear regular season East favorite even without Tingus Pingus. I think Big Al will hold it down. I think in that preseason game, which, I mean, Al Horford's like 85, so I mean, I don't know how much preseason action he's going to get. But I feel like when the actual season starts, October 22nd, that they'll have Al Horford starting. Maybe not. Maybe they will roll with Luke Cornett. So it'll be interesting to see what they do at that center position. Either way, I have them taking a slight dip because I think the league did get a lot more competitive, just even East and West. I have them going 59-23, but they still have that first seed locked. I think, they re-signed everyone, yes, but I think the league did get more competitive, and I think there'll be a lot, especially the East got a lot more top-heavy. I still think they run away with the first seed, though. Moving next, though, to a team complete opposite of the spectrum, the Brooklyn Nets. Last year went 32-50, 11th seed. Really, really weird direction last year. I mean, Ben Simmons obviously played 4 games. Cam Thomas, he had his moments where he had back-to-back 44-point games. It was always 43 or 42 points. It was always in that range. It was always a point between each other during that little run he had. 23rd in offensive rating, 20th in defensive rating, so bottom 10 in both. Team is absolute buns, plus having own pick equals tank time, baby. If you're a Brooklyn Nets fan, you're watching a lot of Duke basketball this year, right? You might be watching more Duke basketball than seeing Jay-Z courtside. Moving really quick through this team, I just don't have a lot of high expectations. I think guys like DFS, I think even Cameron Johnson might get moved at the deadline. I think this is going to be a team where other competitive teams try and poach their kind of role guys. I think this is just going to be, again, like I even said in the watchability video, I don't think I'm going to be catching a lot of Brooklyn Nets basketball. They're just not going to be competitive whatsoever. I think they take a pretty fat step back. I have them going 16-66, a good cutting in half in wins what they had last year. And for their seeding, I have Cooper Flag, Spotify, most played is Jay-Z. They're going to be in that Cooper Flag sweepstakes all season long. They're not going to be competitive. Moving next, though, chugging along to the Charlotte Hornets. They won 21-61 last year, the 13th seed. Projected starting 5, I have LaMelo, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and Williams, front court, Grant and Mark. Bottom 3 in offensive and defensive rating. They had the worst net rating. I did not know that. I did not know they had the worst net rating. But I think there's a huge asterisk with that. LaMelo played 19 games. Mark Williams played 22. Charles Lee is the new head coach. Another year of Brandon Miller. I think they're going to take a decent jump. I'm really excited for Charlotte Hornets basketball. I know I had them ranked as a C in that last video for watchability, but I think you should be tuning in because I think this team will be slightly competitive in a top-heavy Eastern Conference. I think there's a lot of room to potentially make games competitive for them, especially if LaMelo and Mark are healthy. And that's kind of my main point in this last bullet point I have is you got to have these guys healthy, right? Both of them have to be playing more than just they got to be playing more than a combined 41 games. We're gonna need more than that from that duo. Final record though I have them at is 37-45. I think they take a 16-win jump if they're healthy. All of these are kind of going in it's 2K sliders that these guys will be healthy. The injury sliders are off because it's so hard to predict. I mean, I kind of accounted for it a little bit, 5-10%, but I'm projecting that for this at least, that LaMelo and Mark each play at least 65-70 games. I think with them going 37-45 though, I think they sneak into the play-in at least as the 10th seed. I think they take a 3-seed jump, and I'm really excited for Charlotte Hornets basketball. Honestly, I think it'll be fun. Moving next to the Chicago Bulls, though, they went 39-43. They were the 9th seed last year. Kobe White, Josh Giddey, Zach LaVine. I have P. Willie, Patrick Williams, and I think Vooch will be potentially their projected starting 5. They were 19th offensive rating, 22nd defensive rating, and they had the 3rd lowest three-pointers made. Another confusing team. They're dipping their little hoof into if they want to rebuild or not. I think they just need a full commit. I touched on it again in last week's video, but commit to the rebuild. Bulls front office, your fans are begging for it. even as an outside just basketball fan, they need to just accelerate the rebuild and get it moving. For my final note here, can this please be the year the suffering ends for Bulls fans? No play-in, trade deadline, please. I mean, I firmly believe, like, doubling down that, I firmly believe, like, they have to move on. They really do, and I think that means either, again, the Zach LaVine rumors already restarted up again, even before preseason started. Like, you got to trade LaVine, you got to trade Vooch. You probably keep on to Kobe White, but you got Buzelis. Keep going from there. Again, I don't know how much I love the Billy Donovan hiring either, so we'll see how far he makes it, though. But I have them going 32-50. And then for their seeding, I have maybe Cooper Flag loves Portillo's. I think they're in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. I don't even think they make play-in. I think they do trade those guys and get that rebuild going, please. Next, though, is the Cleveland Cavaliers, 48-34 last year, 4 seed. Darius Donovan, probably Isaac Okoro again. Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen as their projected starting 5. Defensively, this team, they were a menace. I think we all knew that. 7th in defensive rating, 16th, though, offensive rating, so kind of bottom half of the league. 7th slowest team. I have ... for now. Kenny Atkinson, I said before, he's going to have these boys running. This offense is going to be booming, I think, under Kenny A. East became more top-heavy, though, while Cleveland stood pat. They re-signed their guys, didn't really bring anyone in, which, and now the East got a lot more competitive. I would have liked to see them make more free agency type moves. They re-signed their guys, though. I'm just a little worried with this Eastern Conference, again, becoming more top-heavy. Knicks, 76ers made moves. Boston re-signed their championship caliber guys. Even Orlando is making some moves, and they're just getting younger and better, so I'm a little worried. But I have them taking just literally the small step back, 47-35. A little bit of a jump, though, in the seeding. I have them going as the 6th seed entering next season. Again, just staying pat, re-signing their guys. While most seasons that's good, I just think there's a lot of action in the top chunk of the East, and I don't know as though they really did enough in the offseason. To a team, again, completely under the spectrum, the Detroit Pistons went 14-68 last year, had the 15th seed, worst in the East. I project their starting 5 to be Cade, Ivy, Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris, and Duran. Hoo-wee, man. I mean, just Tim Hardaway Jr. and Tobias Harris probably being in your starting 5 is so foul. They had the 4th worst offensive rating last year, 6th worst defensive rating last year, and they were last in three-pointers made. But bringing in Tim Hardaway Jr. and Tobias Harris, guys who are almost kind of notorious for just being just either on hot streaks or just smoking shots, like just Brick City in Detroit. So I don't know if that's really going to help their three-pointers made situation. Also, they brought in JB Bickerstaff. Again, I will die on that hill. I do not like that hiring really whatsoever. Super confused by it. That was literally my last note here too, was I just don't understand what JB will bring to the table outside of draft. Hated their offseason. Tobias, Tim Hardaway Jr., and again, a player I again forgot that they brought in, Malik Beasley, another guy who's just going to chuck. Some nights he'll hit, some nights those 3 guys are going to cost you games. With that, I have them taking the slightest jump and going 19-63, and 1 Cooper Flag to go, please. Maybe he likes the Detroit Lions. I don't know. They're going to be in the sweepstakes for Cooper Flag again, and I think Detroit has the worst draft lottery luck, so they probably won't get that number 1 pick. And I don't know as though Adam Silver wants one of those kind of potentially generational guys in Cooper Flag going to Detroit anyways. Next team, though, that plays a million miles per hour, the Indiana Pacers. They went 47-35 last year. They were the 6th seed. Their projected starting 5, I have Tyrese, Benedict Mathurin, Obi Toppin, Pascal Siakam, and Miles Turner. Last year, you already know the offense story of this team. Number 2 offensive rating. They had the number 1 assist-to-turnover ratio, field goal percentage, and effective field goal percentage, but they had the 24th. They were 24th in defensive rating. Pretty much, 6th worst? So, bit concerning there on the defensive end. We kind of knew that last year, though, and I don't know how concerning it was because they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, so wasn't too much of an issue, I guess. I mean, Boston did kind of lay it down on them, but at least they got there for such a young team. First thing in the notes here, healthy Benedict plus full offseason Pascal plus $1,000,000 per hour play style equals regular season dogs. This team is so fun to watch in the regular season, and the playoffs they were too, but you get healthy Tyrese, get Benedict Mathurin coming back, Obi Toppin is catching lobs pretty much from the roof. Pascal's going to do his thing. Miles Turner stretches the floor. Rick Carlisle has changed the culture in there. It's been just a refreshing breath of air, I think, for all Indiana fans. I have them going 50-32. I think they take a small jump. I think they hit that 50-win mark. They just keep getting more and more chemistry. Tyrese played Team USA, being around guys like LeBron, KD, Book. That's going to pay dividends. I have them as the 4th seed. I think they take a 2-seed jump, a 3-win jump. I think that's solid for them. I think they crack into that top 4 in the East. I think they've made the moves. Again, I think we all forgot, maybe outside of Indiana fans, about the return of Benedict Mathurin. I'm very high on him. I think he's going to be perfect for their system, and I just want to see a healthy Benedict and Tyrese backcourt. Next, though, to a team that does not play 1,000,000 miles per hour is the Miami Heat. They went 46-36 last year. They were the A seed. I think their starting five will be Terry Rozier, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, Jaime Jaquez, and Bam Adebayo. They had a top 5 defense, bottom 10 offense. So kind of similar to what you would see with the Orlando Magic. I think there's a team kind of like the Cleveland Cavaliers that we touched on. Coach Spo is a magician, but will only go so far as Jimmy takes them. Touched on it before. Is this the last time? Is this the last dance for Jimmy in Vice City? I'm leaning towards yes. I think this is the last time we see Jimmy in a Miami Heat jersey. But the success of this team will only go so as far as Jimmy is playing, is on the court, is effective. I think we've seen Tyler Hero's peak in a sense. Terry Rozier is he's a little bit of a cone on defense. I do like Jaime. I love Bam. Bam is, I think, perfect for their Heat culture. I like their draft pickup and Ware. Outside again, though, East became top heavy. Now Miami Heat are getting kind of close to that magnet of being in that play-in situation, kind of like the Atlanta Hawks, like I was saying before. I think they take a small step back. 43-39 is where I have them going into this next season. I think they finish as the 8th seed, probably make playoffs, probably another Boston-Miami playoffs matchup in the first round. I just think that's kind of their vibe now, and we'll see post-Jimmy Butler what that looks like with Pat Riley, Coach Spo, and the Miami Heat organization. Next up, though, the Milwaukee Bucks. They went 49-33. They were the 3 seed. Dame, Gary Trent Jr., Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook is who I have as their projected starting 5. They were 6th in offensive rating, 19th in defensive rating. A lot of that, too, is just skewed with I think we forget that Doc Rivers was, brought in, in January, February, and was coaching, the first game. It was he coached, 2 games, and then it was all-star break after everything that happened with Adrian Griffin, which was that just crazy. Squad is old. Chris hurt. Does Giannis and Dame figure out the 2-man game? Again, got reported that Giannis and Dame didn't even work all offseason. Again, maybe we're looking into it too much. Maybe I'm just looking into it too much. I just think a duo that really seemed like they didn't have chemistry at all last season just did not even work on that. And now we're just going to, again, kind of crunch that into this, 2-week training camp / preseason, which how much they'll even play. Chris Middleton's already reported that he's not playing, even 5-on-5s. Brook Lopez is 85. Great. Gary Trent Jr. and who they also picked up from Miami Heat, the guard that is just escaping my mind right now, DeLon Wright. Solid pickups. DeLon Wright, though, I don't know if he can control that that backcourt when Dame he's subbed off. We'll see how that kind of works. Gary Trent Jr. can hit shots, but he's also he chucks. I think he plays a bit like aggressive defense where he's just reaching for steals. This team is going to be really interesting because I truly think that we might be reaching a breaking point with the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis, especially if they are a first-round exit. Get ready for the Shams. It's going to be, I think, chaos for the rumors of Giannis leaving, whether that's Golden State, OKC, wherever it may be. I think they get heightened to the max. if Milwaukee's not competitive, especially if they're a first round exit, it's going to get very ugly in the 4-1-4 because you brought in Dame, and especially if it's back-to-back first round exits, it's not going to look good. I think it's going to be a rematch, though. I have them as the 5th seed, and I have them going 46-36. I think they take a slight step back. They're just getting up there in age. Again, East became way more top heavy. And I think we see another Indiana Milwaukee first round matchup, which I think the NBA would eat up as well because there seems to be a little bit of beef there. Game ball to then scrappy playoffs. I think the NBA would eat it up. I see that's where Milwaukee lands. Next up, though, to the East Coast, to the New York Knicks. They went 50-32 last year. They were the 2nd seed. Projected starting 5 I have for them is Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and Karl Anthony Towns. Last year, top 10 in offensive and defensive rating. Played at the slowest pace. Brand new starting 5, though. I think that's going to be the whole deciding factor is how quick can the Villanova boys / Dante DiVincenzo now, how quick can they get things rolling? There's already potentially previous chemistry there. Cat, though, man, bringing in Cat's crazy, really stretches the floor. Already worked with Tommy T. This team's going to be nasty. I have right here, arguably 3rd best starting 5 on paper, plus incredible head coach, but need him to cool it with the playing time on the knees. Tommy Tibbs loves playing these guys 46, 47 minutes a night. Josh Hart was playing it's not possible. Somehow he was logging in 52 minutes in just a regular season game that didn't even go to overtime. He was defying physics with the PT he was getting. Plus, will everyone buy into smaller roles? Will Mikal Bridges, will Karl Anthony Towns? Well, I think OG's already bought in. Josh Hart is. And clearly, Jalen Brunson's not only bought in on the court, but off the court with that massive pay cut. But will the other kind of around the edge guys, Cat, Mikal, will they buy into the smaller roles? I think they will. I'd only worry maybe about Karl Anthony Towns because Mikal already did that, I feel like, in Phoenix with the role he had, especially in that 2021 run. So I think we've already seen that from Mikal. Final record and seed, though, I have them taking a jump. I have them going 54-28, and I have them as the 2 seed again. I think they'll be right under Boston. I think it'll be within 5 games. And I think it'll be a lot closer than it was in that 14-game disparity as it was last year. I think it'll be a lot closer. Moving down to Florida, though, and the Orlando Magic. They went 47-35. They were the 5 seed. I think their projected starting 5 will be Jalen Suggs, KCP, Franz, Paolo, and Wendell Carter Jr. Top 3 defense, but 8th worst offense, and they had the second. That was the whole story with the Orlando Magic. Is this next point? 2nd lowest 3-pointers made. They couldn't find the bottom of the basket beyond 26 feet out in Orlando. It was Chuck City, and it was not falling, especially for Franz. Love KCP signing, but not enough offense. Really thought they'd do more offensively in the offseason. We may see something like Anthony Simons, February 6th. I think that's a deadline day. Maybe they bring in Anthony, really spice things up. Anthony, KCP backcourt, Franz, Paolo. That'd be kind of crazy. Unless, please, dear God, have Franz find his 3-ball again, tying that again with not enough offense. Please, Franz, find that 3-ball again. I don't think he really even found it in the Olympics, unfortunately. Hopefully I'll put the stat up as to what he shot in the Olympics. Maybe I'm completely wrong and just negative ball IQ, but I feel like even in the Olympics, he was on his Jamal Murray time zone and was shooting 3 of 19 from 3. Final record, though, small step back, I feel like, for the Orlando Magic, just because they didn't really bolster that offense. I have them going 46-36, and I have them being the 7th seed. I think they creep into that play-in area, but I think they would beat Charlotte, who would be, in my opinion, the 10th seed. I think they'd beat them and move right into the playoffs right away, and probably have a matchup with the New York Knicks. Next up, though, back to the East Coast, to the Philadelphia 76ers. They went 47-35 last year as the 7th seed, with Joel playing 4 games. Projected starting 5, Tyrese Maxey, Caleb Martin, Paul George, Kelly Oubre Jr., and Joel Embiid. They were top 15 in offensive and defensive rating, so pretty much top half of the league in both. very good sign, especially who they just added for players they just brought in. Bottom 5, though, which was weird stat. Weird, I dug this up, and I didn't, honestly, I had to like triple check. They were bottom 5 in 2-point field goal percentage, though. Especially with a guy like Joel that works in the paint a lot. Even like Kelly Oubre drives a lot. Tyrese drives a lot. I was surprised to see that they were bottom 5 in 2-point field goal percentage. Joel missed more games than he played. Healthy Maxey, PG, Joel trio is top 5 in league if healthy. I think that was kind of touching on before, like what I was saying with, it's hard to take the stats into what it was last year with Joel playing, like 39 games. It's hard to look at that. If healthy, though, I do love Caleb and Kelly as your glue guys. Kelly Oubre Jr. really showed that in the playoffs. Caleb has always kind of been that guy for Miami. I think both in your starting 5 surrounded around Tyrese, PG, and Joel will be huge. I think their final record will be 51-31. They cracked that 50-win threshold, and I have them as the 3 seed in the East. Again, kind of jumping ship into a completely different direction, going up to the 6, Mr. Aubrey's favorite team, the Toronto Raptors, 25-57 last year. They were the 12th seed. Projected starting 5, Emmanuel Quickley, Bruce Brown, R.J. Barrett, Scotty Barnes, and Jakob Poeltl. 7th worst offense, 5th worst defense, and bottom 5 pretty much in every shooting stat. I mean, maybe here or there is a little bit different, but horrendous offensive team. Going to the season, the main thing the Toronto Raptors need to focus on is working with Tim Hortons to see if they can throw a bag at Cooper Flagg should they land that juicy number 1 overall pick. This team is going to be highly uncompetitive. It's going to be, I think, tough watches night in and night out. I think their main focus, Toronto, is seeing if they get a little brand deal with Tim Hortons to try and get old Coop sold on coming to the 6 and playing in Canada. I have them going 22-60, and for the seed I'll take the Coop combo, please. I'll be driving up north and hitting up Canada to order from Tim Hortons that Coop combo, because if they do land that first seed, it's going to Toronto, and they will be taking Cooper Flagg sweepstakes. Next up, though, and finally, the final team in the Eastern Conference prediction-wise is another pretty dookie juice team in the Washington Wizards. They went 15-67 in the 14th seed last year. Starting 5 projection, I have Malcolm Brogdon, Jordan Poole, Bilal Coulibaly, Kuzma, and Jonas Valanciunas. There's probably an asterisk around Jonas because I think he'll last a good 35, 40 games, and he's out the door. He's getting traded. Just bottom 5 everything. Fastest pace, though. That was really interesting to me. They had the fastest pace. Clearly didn't result in wins, but they were just bottom 5 in like everything. Offensive rating, defensive rating, any stat that was like remotely you'd think be positive to try and be even top of the half in, they were not. Except for, I guess, pace. They were flying up and down that court, I guess. For kind of my notes for them, trade Kuzma, trade Poole, trade Jonas. Just literally trade anyone who's still on their parents' health insurance at this point. I guess whoever's off their parents' health insurance, I should say. Anyone like 26 and up on that team, get them out of Washington. Get them out of the Wizards organization. Harsh reset, rebuild. I mean, you got to really just kind of be working with like Bilal, see if Alex Sarr, what he's got, keep trying to develop him after that horrendous summer league. I have them going 17-65, so I guess the smallest jump. And then I have maybe Cooper Flagg, loved social studies growing up. Maybe he likes his U.S. presidents, and he wouldn't mind playing in D.C. I don't know. It was really hard to really pick my brain for anything positive for Wizards fans, to be honest. But that's all 15 Eastern Conference teams pretty much wrapped up as to where I think they will go. Do you agree? Do you think the Celtics will finish as the first seed? Who do you think's kind of in that Cooper Flagg territory? I want to hear it down below. Leave a comment. Outside of that, that's going to do it for today's video. If you're not subscribed, dude, I literally have a degree in casual takes. You're going to want to subscribe and hit that like button. But that's officially it for today. I will see y'all in the next one.